Thank you, Gershon. Good morning, Rabbi Side. That's how it's done. There's a lot of mimickers out there. Lizecher Nishmas Mordechai. The Olam's in a great mood today. Some good stuff. Rabbi Side, this gives me a lot of pleasure. Happy 14th birthday to Zalman Yosef Koenigsberg, who has been enjoying the shir since brachas. He sent in emails over the year. It's beautiful. 14-year-old, another young bacher who's doing the daf. Amazing. Yosef Ben-Zev from Chicago, in honor of the 30th anniversary of my bar mitzvah, the 14th of Tevet. He's a phenomenal real estate agent. He didn't ask me to say this, but I bought from him at least, I want to say 50 houses, at least. There's another, what is that? No, it's a little bit, maybe on that. Yeah, it's good, over there. Yeah, we have also Andrew Glatz from Chicago as a real estate agent, but I didn't buy 50 houses from him. But he's great. Yet. No, I'm done with that. By Shaya and my father, Shmuel Halpern, in honor of a very special brother and uncle, Shulem Pinches Halpern from Williamsburg, originally from Manchester, England. A huge Mazal Tov. I don't understand what this means. You'll have to explain to me. Huge Mazal Tov from 2 Brantwood and 93rd Cavendish. But I'm saying these are famous places, or? Okay. 2 Brantwood and 93 Cavendish on the occasion of Freidy's wedding today, the 28th. All of today's learning, I'm not taking a chayes on this line. All of today's learning is dedicated to Lizecher Nishmas, a very special person, SHMUEL DOV, Ben ALEXANDER SCHWARZ. Upon his shloshim today, 14th of Tevet, and in special tribute to yb'mch'lch Chaim Tovim, his devoted wife, son, daughter, their families, and all the grandchildren. The neshama should have an aliyah. I think I read them all, right? So I'm very choshuv. No, I didn't read them all. Did I say about Rosner? It's very hard to see. Here, hold on.
We see it okay.
Fine.
Not bad.
Bad? All right, put it back. For Rosner, we got to do, sorry. By Yonah Rosner, Yaakov Rosner, Moshe Rosner, Yisroel Rosner, the Yahrtzeit of our beloved and Choshuv father, Horav, Eliezer, Ben Reb Chaim, Yehuda Rosner, Zeichat Tzadik Levracha. What time is it?
7:20.
So we just ran out of time for emails and everything else. We have here a quick one. We have to read these dedications real quickly because Rabbi Rosner, it's a very long one, so I'm going to skip around.
Wilson's guy?
Yeah, very good. Nachman Seltzenu, he's Rabbi Wolfson's guy. Our dear father, Rabbi Eliezer Rosner, the son of Rabbi Chaim Yehuda, was a very special Rav, very successful in Rav, building Jewish communities and synagogues in Hartford, Connecticut, Camden, New Jersey, Montreal. In 1976, our dear father began working with Zev Wolfson and Yisroel in the field of Jewish education. Bekitzer, he established many institutions for teenagers before entering the schools. Before these kids had a chance to engage in criminal activity and victims of substance abuse. And he goes on and on. They became very, very productive citizens in Yisroel. And many of the college eventually entered the Torah dormitory schools. The father helped establish all across Yisroel. High-level prominent koilelim he established. In order to be accepted to the koilel, you had agreed to do kiruv work for part of the day. Our father had a great working relationship with many of the Gedolei Yisrael of his time. The picture you see attached is a virtual-based medrash and the names of many that later attended well-known yeshivas. Here's a picture of his father if you want to zoom in. And Rabbi Rosner, I have a special Akarsa Tov to Yaakov Rosner. Every single day on Zoom, he says, today's shir was the best shir ever. The same every day. I believe it every day, all over again. So Yishkoch for being is such a big part of the shir. And this is very interesting too. From Shaya Halpern, in honor of a very special brother and uncle, Shulem Pinches Halpern from Williamsburg. I dedicated today's shir together with my father and honor of my uncle from Williamsburg. Many years ago, he went off the derech. We Halperns are officially Chartav Chatzidim, but we lost our uncle to Vishnitz. So I thought it's cute because a lot of people ask me, are you related to Eli Stefansky? I say, which one? The Karliner? The one that went off the derech? Yeah. Every mishpach has one of those. A bunch of guys from Sweden, one guy became a Karliner. So I can associate with this. Chartkov, Hasid. Oh, I'm such an Amaritz. Chartkov. What's Chartkov? Okay. Mamish Amaretz. I need Rabbi after Shir. That's embarrassing. You know what? Let's do this out. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Today's Shir is being sponsored by Chartkov Hasidim. Could you just erase that, please? Yosef. What Amaretz? Anyways, he became a Shishnitz, Vishnitz. Okay. My uncle introduced me. Wow, I'm terrible. My uncle introduced me to Shir at the beginning of Erevin. I have almost never missed a day. I used to learn around 4 times a week, and now in his chus, I'm finishing Mesechtes. You hear this? It's a pyramid scheme. In his uncle's chus, he's finishing Mesechtes. His uncle gets a lot of schar. We over here get a little bit. Thanks for the phenomenal share, property advice, real estate advice, and good mornings. Thanks to the MDY team. Regards to Leiby and Rav Nachman. Oh, so you do know him. You both know him. Sitting to me, meeting me, Smiley.
One of the most prominent guys in Manchester.
Oh, okay, Givaldik. I don't care about that. I care about Torah. They're learning Torah. Givaldik. Beautiful. The Yisroel is the learning the Daf. That's the ikr. We don't have any time for emails. Okay. Zok the Hela Gemara holding Daf Lamed Ches. Today's Lamed Ches. 2 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Sai, here's 3 lines. Omar, if you want to count that word. You see this? These are kids. Very cute picture. Is this matzah kosher lePesach? No. Why not? Fingers are dirty. That makes it chametz. No, they cleaned their hands. They went. Is this matzah kosher lePesach? 100% not. Okay. Wow, it's a good thing you're not my Rav. Zog the Gemara, but you happen to be right. For a different reason. Dirty. Omer Avasi, Isa shel Meiser Sheni, the Divri Meir Pturim and Achala. So again, you have a crab, you have to bring 2% Truma, and then from that you take 10% Meiser for the Levi, and then you take 10% for yourself. Fundamental question. That 10% that goes to yourself, is it yours 100%? Or it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he allows you to eat it. Could I be Mekadesh a woman with it? Could I buy an esrog with it? If I make bread with it, do I have to be mafresh challah because I'm not mafresh challah from something that belongs to Rebbeinu Shalom? Rabbi Meir, Ptura min achala, Rabbi Meir, Ptura min achala, you potter from challah. It's not yours. It's mum and gavoya. The Divri Chachamim, Chayeves b'challah, Chacham say, no, it's yours. Hashem gave it to you. 10%, do whatever you want with it. Eat it, enjoy it. Top of Lamed Ches, Amud Aleph. So, I just want to refresh everybody's memory. We had the other day, can you use Meiser Sheni for matzah? And Rabbi Yosef Glili said you cannot use Meiser Sheni for matzah because it says in the pasuk, Lechem Oini. It's a funny way of saying it. It sounds like Oini, Oinen. And therefore, since you cannot eat Meiser Sheni when you're ba'aninos, when you lost a loved one, you cannot eat Meiser Sheni, so you can't make a matzah out of it. Comes Rabbi Akiva and argues with him. It says, no, it says matzah, it's riba. One of the many times that we saw matzah. By the way, it says many times in the entire matzah, so maybe that's the pshat. But anyway, matzah, riba comes to include Meiser Sheni for matzah. And then you learn something else from I and Moshe Seichem. Then we have a whole problem with Moshe Seichem. Moshe Seichem, it says that you have to be able to eat the matzah everywhere. And what about Meiser Sheni? Meiser Sheni can only, once you bring it into Yerushalayim, you're locked in Yerushalayim. So the Gemara has a trick. You're not really locked, because if it becomes Tameh, then you can pull it out of Yerushalayim. If it remains Tahar in Yerushalayim, you're right, it's locked. But there's a trick to get it out of Yerushalayim. Says the Gemara, so what about, according to Meir, since Meiser Sheni is not owned by you, you have the privilege to eat it. But it's not yours. You're eating from Shemayim. So you can't go ahead and be Mekayim a mitzvah with it. Mitzvah's matzah. It's not yours for that. And we'll see soon why. And according to Chachamim, your Yahrtzeit, your Chiyuv Matzah and Leil HaSeder, because it's 100% yours. What does Rameir say? So, okay, fine. Esrig Shemaiser Sheni, same halacha should apply to an Esrig. L'divrei, by the way, yesterday Noam Fix gave me a very hard time because I didn't have enough props. So today I came mamish, full of props, and I figured, what better way to start off the share with a prop? And Noam Fix is very into esrogim. He sells esrogim. So I decided to bring some of his esrogim because Rabbi said next year we have to support him. Times are rough, and so I brought some of his esrogim. I have with a pitim, without a pitim. I hope it still has a pitim on it. Here, this is one of his top products. If you want, you can zoom in on this. And here's without a pitim. Hold on a second. Here, Rabbi Say, please support Noam. I'm telling you, it's really good stuff. Top of the line. This is a guy came in with his chauffeur and everything just for this. Just for this. All right. What?
It's not the size that counts. It's not the size that counts.
I'm telling you, you got to revoke this guy. Revoke him. Oh my gosh. Although with that memory, I could have read that person's email they didn't let me read. I have a screen here. I see what I look like. Thank you very much. Okay. So, if you buy an esrig with Meiser Sheni, it's not yours. Who told you could buy esrogim with this money? So, according to Rameir, you can do whatever you want with this money. By the way, Noam, you gave me a hard time yesterday on Tosfos as well. Tosfos says, Tosfos says that you could, even according to Beis Hillel, you could fill up a whole oven's worth of bread. Even if you're making one bread, you said it's not brought in Tosfos. I looked again, it is kind of in Tosfos. Tosfos says, no, it doesn't. But anyways, look at Beitza Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, 18 lines from the bottom. It's a Mefurish Gemara that's the reason. The reason is because more bread heated up. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. Mazal Tov Papa Bishloima Isa Dichsiv Arisoi Seichem Mishalachem. By Chala it says the word Arisoi Seichem. It has to be your dough. Esrig Nami Dichsiv Ulekachtem Lochem. The famous Ulekachtem Lochem. It has to be yours. Lochem Mishalachemiyah. You can't. That's how we learn Esrig Gazel. It can't be stolen. It has to be your Esrig. Ela Matzah Miksiv Matzaschem. Why does it have to be your matzah? You can eat anybody's matzah. Okay, so we have Gzer Shavet says lechem oini, and it says lechem by challah. So challah and matzah have the same halacha. So if by challah it has to be your dough, so by matzah it has to be your matzah. Ksiv acha lechem oini, ksiv hasam by challah v'hoya b'acholchem milechem ha'aretz mal halal mishalochem afkam mishalochem. So it has to be yours. Says the Gemara, very interesting lashon. Leima misayele. Perhaps I have proof to what we just said. Isa shel meiser sheni p'tur min achala. Divrei Rebbe Meir. So basically, word for word, which what we just said. That what? If it's meiser sheni, you don't have to take chala according to Rebbe Meir. V'chachamim chayeves. Ask the Gemara, leima misayeya haynu hach. What it should have said is Tanyu Kavosei. I have a beautiful raya to Rebbe Meir, exactly as he said it. No, Leima Messiah. Perhaps this is a good raya. What do you mean it's a good raya? It is. It's exactly word for word what he just said. It's not a Messiah. It's Tanya Kavosei. Says the Gemara. Very good. Hachi Kamar. Leima mid pligi bi Isa b'hanachnami pligi. In other words, the Gemara knew the answer. The Gemara was trying to get to this point through a question. We have three things that we're discussing. We're talking about matzah, challah, and esrog. So it says in the Brisa that when it comes to challah, it has to be yours. You can't use meiser sheni. But what about an esrog? It doesn't say anything in the Brisa about esrog. Can you make the correlation between the dough and an esrog? Says the Gemara, "B'hanach nami pligi in an esrog also. Oy dilmo shani hasam d'chsiv arisay seichem trei zimni." Beautiful. It says Arisa Seichem twice. So I'm going to take one to teach you that you can't steal it. And I'm going to take the second one to tell you that you can't use Meiser Sheni. But when it comes to Nesrig, I already used, everybody knows, in Masechta Sukkah. It says, Lochem, Shalochem, so you can't steal it. Now, how do I know Meiser Sheni? I don't have a second one to teach me Meiser Sheni. So, Memela Levim Misayeh means perhaps this is a right to the Esrig part, not to the Mefurisha part, because that should say Tanya Kavel say. Now, we just finished this, so I want to pause it for a second. Beautiful halacha l'maisa. I want to start a new, try this format for a second. Because as I'm talking, you could actually look back, see what I'm talking about, see if, catch on future, maybe ingrain it better in the head. Shulchan Aruch paskins a matzah gzula. So we're talking about shalochem. The matzah has to be yours. How do we know this? From challah. Okay, but it's Gzeir Shav, it's a Doiraisa. It has to be yours. You steal a matzah, you're not Yahrtzeit. If you steal the wheat and make a matzah, you are Yahrtzeit because it's a shinui. You have to pay back, of course. Very interesting. Allah brought about in the Mishnah. If you don't have money to pay for the matzah, and the matzah bakery says, I need you to pay. And you say, well, I forgot my wallet. I'm going to go home and get the money. And you go home and don't get the money, and you have all the intention of paying back, and sometimes they take credit, you are a ganav. You're not Yahrtzeit in the matzah at all. So you go to the grocery store and whatever it is, sometimes they give you credit for a day or two, but you forgot to pay. Not Yahrtzeit matzah, says the Mishnah Berurah. Now here's very interesting halacha. Could I go to a wedding? Could somebody go to a wedding, pick up the piece of chicken from the plate, and go over to a woman and say, Hared Mekudeshesli, with this chicken? Walk outside, say Hared Mekudeshesli. So there's a shayla, when are you kind of the chicken? A guest, because this is a shayla halacha. How does a person goes to somebody's seder and he gives him a matzah? Is it your matzah? It's not your matzah. It's the owner's matzah. It's the balabais's matzah. When does it become? So in kiddushin they say, big machlokes. Does it become your chicken when you lift it up, or when you put it in the plate, or if you put you have to put it in the mouth? So by matzah, certainly when you put it in your mouth, it becomes yours. So it's 100% yours. That's how you Yahrtzeit. That's how you Yahrtzeit the shalochem. Okay, that's it. You are Yahrtzeit the shalochem. So the bottom line is la halacha. You got to be careful not to steal matzah, not to owe money on the matzah. The Mishnah Berurah also talks about if you go to a matzah bakery and these are these guys' matzahs and these are this guy's matzah, he made it in his chabura, so to speak, and you go and you fanegel a couple stolen matzah, you're not Yahrtzeit. Boy, Reb Shimon ben Lakish. So what happened was, this guy has Meiser Sheni. He brings it up to Yerushalayim. He makes dough out of it. Takes the wheat, makes dough, brings to Yerushalayim, and then from the dough he takes challah. Very interesting. Yesterday, I don't know if you could see. I don't know, Gary, could you zoom in on this just for a second? I just put it here just to show. Somebody in the shir made 24 samples of dough out of 24 different products. And he let them sit there and ferment to see what would happen if he added wine, honey, all sorts of things, water, warm water. I don't really see a big difference. He probably does. Some of them are smaller than the others. Okay, so anyways, he took a challah, piece of challah. This is the warm water one. Challah. What's the shayla? Maushi yetzi adam yedei chavase bechallah shel meiser sheni b'Yerushalayim. You hear what happened? He took the meiser sheni, which has kedusha to it, and made it even more kadosh by challah. But that's not the point of the Gemara. He had to separate a piece. How much? 1/24th, 1/48th. Gives it to the kohen. Now it's in the hands of the kohen. This little piece is in the kohen's hand. Could the kohen take this little piece and make matzah for Leila Seder? I'll leave it there. Rabbi Yosef Aglili loyti b'ylach. Rabbi Yosef Aglili, which we mentioned in the beginning of the shir, he holds you cannot use meiser sheni. Period. You see this dough right over here? You can't use it as for matzah for Leila Seder. Why? You can't eat it when you're oinen. Lechem oini. Can't use this. So if you can't use this, you certainly can't use what comes off of it, the challah that comes off it, which has even more kedusha, and certainly you can't eat it when you're a oinen. Hashta b'chulin leinofik v'chalosim in baya. Kiti baya lachalib der Akiva. Rabbi Akiva who holds that you could use the dough for meiser sheni, for matzah leila seder. B'chulin leinofik. That's only good for the dough. Regular chulin. Dimitamu yeshlem heter b'moshavos. What was this whole svara? Because you're right. This dough, once you bring it into Yerushalayim, it's locked in Yerushalayim. The pasuk says, "B'chol mishveiseichem," I have to be able to eat this matzah all over the world. But I can't take it out of Yerushalayim. However, you hear Yosef, if this dough becomes tamei, then I could take it out of Yerushalayim. Oh, says b'chol mishveiseichem. What is that called? Don't be confused there. That's called, it's not really called, it's like a hayil, which we're about to get into. I just want to remind you, this nekuda. I could make it tamei, but the Gemara doesn't use this at all as a hayil. Hayil means, since I could, fine. So, hashta nafik, I think, hashta b'chulun nafik with the mitam yishlem heter b'mishavos. Aval chala, the mitam lesla heter b'mishavos, v'lesreif azla, loy nafik. But when it comes to chala, this little guy can never get out of Yerushalayim. He's stuck. V'lesreif azla, loy nafik. So memela, you have a problem of what? B'chol mishveiseichem. I cannot make a matzah that's edible all over the world, even with my little trick of making it tamei, because if I make it tamei, just burn it. You can't take it out of Yerushalayim. Dilma amrinon hayil. Hayil is a concept in Shas. When do we say it? When do we not say it? We have to see exactly. Rishonim discuss it. Hayil. I have it's like a migui. Since I could, hayil v'ilu loy karel Hashem. I didn't make it chala. I didn't have to make it chala. V'tamei, and then it becomes tamei. Islo heter b'mishavos v'nafik ba. Then it would be okay. If I didn't go to step 3, I didn't make it chala. I just remained in this step. I could take it out of Yerushalayim by making it tamei. So because I made it another step, that's why it should be a problem. What's going on here? Listen to this. It's beautiful. I mean, hayil. A hayil, you know why I should be able to use bikurim, which I cannot use for my matzah? Since I could have not made a bikurim. You don't say that. All of a sudden over here, I could have not made it chala. Pshat is beautiful. Because chala by itself, that's a Mishnah Daf Lamed Hey that tells us you could use chala, a kohen could use his chala for a matzah on Leil Seder, just like he could use his truma. And Meiser Sheni by itself, according to Rebbe Kiva, you could use as matzah. So the unfortunate combination of the two shouldn't ruin it. Yichab. Chala by itself is not a problem to make matzah. Meiser Sheni by itself is not a problem. So just because I combine those two doesn't make it worse. That's the word here. Not that I'm taking a hayil and saying, it didn't have to be chala. Chala is good for matzah. And Meiser Sheni is good. Just the two of them together. Who said they have to be together? Whereas bikurim, as is, bikurim can never ever be matzah. It doesn't have that thing that, there's a certain situation where bikurim is okay. That's Taisus. That's the Rishonim that discuss. Says Gemara, Iked Amri, some say, Ha vadei lo tiboylach, the vadei amri in hayil. In such a case, it's so pashut that we would say since. You didn't have to combine the chala and the meiser sheni. The vadei amri in hayil. Of course, you could say one hayil. Ki tiboylach, chala halakuach bekesef meiser sheni. What happened was that the chala, meiser sheni, was redeemed. I didn't want to schlep this whole basket to Yerushalayim. I wanted to put cash in my pocket. So the Gedusha goes from here, into this money, pile of money. Then I take from the money, I buy dough. Now the Gedusha went from the money into here. And from the dough, I take chala. Chala l'kua because of my zesheni. V'ali b'derabbanon leiti boilach kivin da'amri yipode hainu meiser. What happens when this becomes tamei? Rabbi said this final step becomes tamei. So according to Rabbanon, it's not a problem. I could redeem it. So it's a perfect meiser sheni. I took all the gedusha out of it. It has enough gedusha that I can redeem it. Ki tibaylach ali b'der Rabbi Yehuda the Omar Yikover. The point of this nekuda over here, the whole nekuda of this sugya, is this: that according to Rabbi Yehuda, what do you do with this piece of dough? You burn it. That shows a weakness, not a strength. That's a weakness. It's so weak. It went from meiser sheni to money to dough. It kept on moving. The kedusha kept on moving. to the point that when it becomes tummy, I can't even redeem it. It's weak. It's not pshat, it's so strong and I can't make matzah out of it. It's weak. That's why I can't redeem it. I have to bury it because it's not even Kaddish anymore. I cannot redeem the shtender. How can I redeem a shtender? I can redeem Kedusha. Once it loses Kedusha through these steps, through Pidyon, then it's weak. And the Gemara uses it as a lashon of a double. We're using 2 hayos. And the question is, do you say 2 hayos? Or I could only say 1 hayol. I have to stop by 1. Where's the machlokes? Because if something was bought with Meiser Sheni money, he redeemed the Meiser Sheni to money, and then he bought something with it. And then Shinitma, and then became Tamei. I should have put a mouse here, it became Tamei. Cover. So what's the question? First, it didn't even have to be, I didn't have to go through this whole process. I didn't have to make a challah. And then it would become Tamei. Yeshle had to be Mishavis v'nafik bey. Hashtanami nafik bey. Oy dilma chad hoyel amrinon, trei hoyel loy amrinon. Omar Rava, says Rava, I'll tell you, bottom line is, Mistabra, to me, it makes sense. Logically, Shem Meiser Chadu. At the end of the day, this piece of challah that was taken from this dough, that was redeemed from, that was bought with this money, which was redeemed from this Meiser Sheni, it's all in the category of Meiser, and that's the end of the story. Don't tell me that's weak. It's considered Meiser 100%. Zog the Gemara, Chalas Toida Urikike Nazir. So we had in the Mishnah that if a person makes the breads for his carbon Toida or a Nazir, their matzah, could he use it on the night of the Seder? So we said, what do we say in the Mishnah? Depends. If he makes it for himself, no. If he makes it to sell to other people that need to bring a Toida, it was a big business then he could. Minan Emili, how do we know this idea? Omar Rabbo, the Omar Kro. By the way, very interesting. I thought it was interesting. When I told this to my chavrus, he started laughing at me. But remember yesterday, at the end of the shir, we had the Rab and Rav Yosef was sitting from the Rav Zera, was sitting from the Vula. So anyway, I just thought it was here, the dynamic duo. Here they are. Minan Emili, Omar Rabbo, the Omar Kro. Ushmartem es hamatzis, we just turned to Daf Lamed Ches Amud Beis. Matzah mishtameres l'shem matzah. Rabbi said this is a very, very major line in Yiddishkeit right here. Matzah hamishtameres l'shem matzah. What is the Gemara telling me? That when you make a matzah, you have to do it l'shma. You know when you go to the bakery and all those women, depends, I don't know what generation, I haven't been to a bakery in a long time, but all the men, they scream, l'shem matzahs mitzvah. And when I was a kid, they had the Russian women, the 90-year-olds with the gold teeth, they were doing the thing, and they didn't know what they're saying. The guy came, the chassid, alle zusammen, the Shaya matzahs mitzvah. Okay, so they all scream. How do you know this? From this pasuk right here. Ushmartem es hamatzos. There's a chiyuv not only to, says Rashi, to make sure that it doesn't become chametz. There's a chiyuv to make sure that it's lishma. It's l'shem matzah. Yotzezu sheim mishtameres l'shem matzah l'shum zevach. But this matzah, you didn't do it for Pesach, you did it for your own thing. You did it for carbon taida. Rav Yosef Omar, the second part of the duo, Omar kro shivas yomim matzah techelu. It has to be for 7 days. Shivas yomim matzah necheles shivas yomim. Yotzezu shein necheles shivas yomim. Yom echad. Okay, so he says it has to be the Shema. He says it has to be for 7 days. What's the difference between the two? What's the difference? Says Rashi, what if a person had l'shma, l'shei matzahs mitzvah, and for my toida? Well, according to Rav Yosef, it's no good because it has to be for 7 days. And the matzah of a nazir, toida, 1 day only. That day that he brings the carbon, and that night. It goes into the garbage afterwards. So you can't say, oh, I'm making it for 7 days. You can't. It's only made for 1 day. But for a matzah, I'm saying I'm doing the shema. If I don't need it, the shema, l'shem matzah. Who do we have here? Real quickly. Oh, Yaakov Shalom. I don't know what your last name is, but Shalom Aleichem if you're new, unless I'm just not recognizing you. Shalom Aleichem. SC. Yaakov Shalom SC. And Reb Moshe Ernstov. Shalom Aleichem. Well, you're old, not by age, old on the shear. Lauren Spiegelman, Shalom Aleichem. Izu Fried. Oh, Izu Fried. I don't know what country you're in these days. In Vienna? Europe somewhere. The guy is a world traveler, but he's always in Vienna, back to Belgium maybe. I don't know. Okay. Zog Tehillah Gemara. Tanya Kavasei the Rabbi. This is very easy. We can fly through this. Rabbi says it's word for word, which we just learned. Tanya Kavasei the Rabbi, but Tanya Kavasei the Rabbi Yosef. Again, Rabbi says that a matzah requires intent, lishma, for Pesach, for Leila Seder. We're talking about matzah, Leila Seder. Don't confuse this with the rest of the matzahs that we eat during the week. Matzah for the mitzvah matzah. You have to have intent. Ushmartem es hamatzos. Rabbi Yosef says it has to be, you have to be capable of eating it for 7 days. If it's less than 7 days, no good. So we have brises that say exactly like each one of them. Tanya Gava say, the Rabbi, perhaps I could use a matzah. Look, it's mamish matzah. It has no chametz in it. And I did it, I had leftover. Tonight, I brought, very interesting. I brought my toida. I have a leftover, can't really bring it then, but whatever, for whatever reason I have this matzah, I want to use it for Leila Seder. Can't do so. Talmud loymar. Ushmartem es hamatzos. Matzah mishtameres l'shem matzah. You don't have lishma for it. It's not watch. It's not. The intent is not for matzah. The intent is for your carbon. Tanya Gavasei the Rav Yosef. Yochel yoytzei adam yidei chavasi bechalis toida urikikei nazir. Talmud loymar shivas yomim matzis techelu. It has to be good for 7 days. Matzah nechelas shiva. Yatzazu shein nechelas shiva. Elo liyoim velayla. Okay, so we just spoke about lishma. So once again, we got a little chart going here. Hilchas lishma noigei lo ma'aseh bizman hazeh. So as we said, that you have to make sure that the matzah doesn't come chametz ushmartem, but also you have to have the shma. According to everybody, lisha and afiyah, putting it in the oven and kneading it. Niz l'shma, I have a picture of kneading, if you want to see, if you don't know what that looks like. This just reminded me of the good old days. Satmar Bakery, that's the only one I ever went to. For years, we used to go to Satmar. That's how they cover the walls with paper and kids. Okay. What else do we have? Now, very important. Since it needs l'shma, so children are puzzle. Now, over here the Shulchan Aruch says you have to check that they have simanim. If a person doesn't have a beard, they have a problem. They have to be checked. So it doesn't help that if a Yisroel stands over the Jew or the kid, the guy, and tells the kid, say l'shem matzis mitzvah. Doesn't help by these things. So it has to be a gadol, it has to be a Shema Torah, Yisroel, somebody, I don't know, Shema Torah, I just made that up, but a Jew that could say l'shem matzis mitzvah. Now, the Rosh says the minig is also by tchina. It should be l'shma when you grind it. That's why we have something called Rashi. You ever saw a Rashi on the box of matzah? Rechaim, there's a yud here. Rechaim shel yad, it should say a yud over here. Rechaim shel yad. And that looks something like this. Grinding it by hand and saying l'shem matzis mitzvah when you're doing the grinding. Because there's a shita like that as well. It's shita sarosh. And shita sarif is that you have to have l'shma from the time that you harvest it. Thank you. From the time you harvest it. So those are the things of l'shma. Serious stuff, not to be joked around with. It has to be gadol, it has to be l'shma. You have to say it, you have to do it. Shaya is only lisha and afiyah, or also tchina and ktsira, etc. Zok the Gemara. V'tevik lei melechem oini. Why do Rabbi and Rav Yosef have to come onto these things of matzah mishtameres? We're talking about chalas toida, rikikei matzah. We're talking about the breads that you bring together with the carbon. They don't fit into the pasuk of lechem oini. Why? Remember, Rabbi Yosef Galili holds that the matzah has to be eaten in a time of aninus. And since you cannot eat the lechem toida or the rikike nazir when a person is a einan, so you can't make a matzah out of it? The obvious answer is Sovelok Rebbe Akiva. He holds like Rebbe Akiva. Domar oniksiv. It says Ayin Nud Nun Yud. It doesn't say Ayin Vav Nun Yud. It doesn't say Aini. We read it Aini. Again, Yeshim Lemsayers, Yeshim Lemikra. That whole sugya. Rebbe Akiva says it says Ani for a reason. It's written Ani. MMA law. It has nothing to do with Aninus. So just because you can't eat it when a person is a Ayin, it doesn't mean you can't bring a matzah from it. Ask the Gemara another question. However, Rebbe Akiva in that sugi himself said that since it says ani, it has to be a matzah of ani, a poor man's bread. Flour, water. You add any one of those 24 samples that this guy made, I don't even know who he is, I don't have a name. Puzzle. Well, not all 24, one of them was warm water, also puzzle for a different reason. You put anything in there, wine, honey, like the Gemara discussed. Why? Because it's matzah ashira. Problem is that in a mincha, if you were here in Menachas, I brought flour and you have to add oil. Oil. So it's a matzah ashira, it has oil. Says the Gemara, a very simple answer. Amar Shmuel barav Yitzchak, revisi u'mischalekesi lekama chalis. Imagine. This is approximately a revius, right? 3 ounces, 3.5 ounces, whatever it is. How much flour do you bring? 30-something pounds of flour. 15 kilo. What's the 2.2 times 15? Okay, 30-something pounds. You add this amount of oil to 15 kilo, 30 pounds of flour, you won't even see it. You won't even know it's there. So it's not a matzah ashira. Yes, it's matzah ashira, poured oil. It's not oil. This is garnished. Frag the Gemara. But you can't eat these lechamim that you bring with the taida. You can't eat it all over Eretz Yisrael. You can't eat it all over the world. Amr Shlakish, Zoisei Meres, Chalis Taida, or Kiki Nazir, Nechalin Benoiv V'Givain. Over here, if you were reading from your Mesivta, your art scroll, and you just flew by, you might want to stop for a second to understand Pshat. Very simple, but to understand the true Pshat, I think. The Gemara says there was a place called Noiv Givain. Noiv Givain had a bama g'doila, where people brought communal korbanos. And the question of machlokes in the Gemara is, this korban nazir that a person brings, could you eat the chalas? You have to eat the chalas there, or could you take the chalas everywhere? Because it's really kachim kalam. So in the time of Noiv Givain, that I could bring my korban there, and this manoma holds I could bring my chalas everywhere. So I have the pasuk of B'chol Meshvei I'm Yahrtzeit, that it goes everywhere. In that specific case, comes Rabbi Rav Yosef and says you can't make a matzah out of it. You have a B'chol Meshvei in Noiv Givain. I know what you're going to ask me. This is somebody I'm looking at here. But I wasn't going to get to today. It's a thing. Okay. Rabbi and Rav Yosef say, in that time, and Beis Hashem in times of Mashiach, when you could bring, you have the, not in nowadays, not because Noiv Givain, so that's why it's today. The whole sugi is in that kuf over there. Rabbi and Rav Yosef are bringing a miyut. Even though I could eat this challah all over Eretz Yisrael, why? Because I brought my korban on a bama in Noiv Givain, and I hold like the man the Omer that if I do so, I could eat it all over Eretz Yisrael. It says matzah mishtameres. It says Shivas Yomim, so I can't eat it. I can't make a matzah out of it.
Who cares? I did that for you.
I know. Tanya, he's asking because the Gemara says what? Mashiach, do we like what's the nafkamina for today? Tanya Rebbe Eloi, Sha'alti es Rebbe Eliezer. I asked the question that it says Mufurish in the Mishnah. Now, just to understand, they were way before the Mishnah. The Mishnah was written by Rebbe, much later generation. So he didn't have the Mishnah. He's like, what is the halacha? Could I take my challah of my toida and make a matzah out of it? Rikiki nazir. Amar li lo shamati. I don't know the halacha. Basi v'shadu d'fnei Rabbi Yeshua. Say, ask Rabbi Yeshua. Amar li harei amru chalis toidu kikin nozer shasan la'atzmoi ein adam yoytze b'hem. If you did it for yourself, does this sound familiar? Yes, because that's our Mishnah. If you did it for yourself, you made it for yourself. You're not yoytze, limka b'shok. You made it for the people coming up to Yerushalayim. Yoytze b'hem, I can use it for a matzah. Kishabas, if say see dvarim lefnei Rabbi Eliezer. Amar li, now we realize, Amar li, bris, I swear. Hey, neinad dvarim shenemar lo Moshe Sinai. That's exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu heard. There's enough community between making it for yourself and for other people. Iked Amri, and this would seem more logical to us. Bris, what? It's a shvua. It's a lashon tema, like, because Rabbi Eliezer didn't know the halacha before. Also now he knows that it's, he didn't know the halacha, and also he knows it's Moshe Rabbeinu. So no, he's poking fun at it, sort of. He's like, hey, na dvarim shener lo Moshe b'Sinai v'lo yitayim b'ay. Moshe Rabbeinu said this. How do you know how to make a distinction between making bread for yourself and making it for somebody else? So it says the Gemara, nu v'tayim b'ay. Nu, what's taka the pshat? Amar Rabba koy lashuk imluchim yb'mch'lch. If I make it for other people, so obviously I'm making some sort of condition in my head. Omar imizdaben, Eloi mizdaben, epik bu'ano. If I could sell it off, great. If not, I'm going to make a matzah. No, and by the way, not yet. We're not done. I just want to bring one halacha here because we have 2 minutes. So get ready for Tehillim. Nachman just left. And listen, if you do a good job, we might have to reinstate you. Very interesting halacha b'nogeh to matzah, because we are starting a new sugya of Mar tomorrow. Brand new Mishnah, bring your friends, brand new Masechta tomorrow. So, b'nogeh to the matzah's mitzvah of Leil HaSeder. You know, Hasidim are makbid, they go to the bakery, Erev Yontev, it's very difficult, they run and they try to grab a kazayas. Litvaks don't know about this stuff. What's going on here? In Lincolnwood, where I lived for many years, the Rav, Rabbi Twersky, tremendous tzaddik, I actually helped him build it with me and another guy. We built an oven. We took a dog cage, one of those round igloo-looking things, poured a lot of cement on it, then bricks. That guy knew what he was doing. I didn't. I was just helping him. And we have an oven every single year before Erev Pesach. The community comes and they communal matzah. Beautiful. What's the inyan? Some people say that it's a chiyuv. That's the only way you yaitze your matzah on Leil HaSeder. These are rishonim. I'm not talking about a minhag of chasidim. This is rishonim. They're makbid on rishonim. There's to be yaitze matzah mitzvah, it must be made after chatzos. What's after chatzos? The time that you bring the carbon Pesach. So what do you do in our year, this year? If Shabbos is Erev Pesach, when do you make the matzah? On Motzei Shabbos. Or Chidush Atzah Ma'od. Matzah from last year's Erev Pesach matzah. It lasts for the next year as well. That's a tremendous chiddush to me. L'chatchila, a person should be makbid on Erev Pesach matzah for his seder. B'di eved, he's yaitza, even if he doesn't have. Those litvaks, those mekilim guys. Now, the big question is, from our sugya, that the Gemara is saying a person should be able to make a matzah out of lechem toida, but you don't bring a toida on Erev Pesach. You have to bring it on Yud Gimel. So he has a matzah from Yud Gimel, and he's using it for the Leil HaSeder. I am Berishonim. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shir ma'alois mi'amakim k'sicha adinoi. Adinoi shemo b'kolit hinu zedach yeshoves dekodach unoi. Ima v'noi shemo yo adinoi mi'amoi. Kimcha slichol lemanti vorei. Kivisi adinoi k'zonam shidro echolti. Shila adinoi mishimrim laboiker shimon laboiker. Chayisol adinoi kim adinoi achazeh u'bein mo'ifedus. V'u yivnei Yisroel. Michal ben Yisroel achim b'Yisroel anisunu b'Yisroel v'shivi oim dibem mishimon laboiker v'achim v'lei v'tzim v'tzim v'bochim v'peidan v'u mishimon l'ashto. V'zman karuv v'nem ba'amein. Yishkoyach. You're a good guy. Yishkoyach Akiva. Yishkoyach.